And tonight on a Great American panel, he, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Fox News contributor, USA Today columnist, and now one of my favorite shows, one of the co-hosts of The Five, Bob Beckel, is here. He is the author of the Tea Party Manifesto, founder and editor and CEO of WorldNetDaily.com. Joseph Farah is with us. She was the former spokeswoman for the House Republican Conference, currently the executive director of Public Notice. Gretchen Hamel is here. Good to see you all.
Hi.
All right. Analysis of tonight.
Well, I think it was really interesting. This is the most diverse state that they have been to yet. It's the fourth largest state in the nation. Tonight's election was important, but it's going to be even more important in November. So I think Romney had a good showing. I think that sends some signals. And he won the big counties, the counties that are going to matter now and the counties that are going to matter in November.
Joe?
Big win for Romney, obviously, but I don't think it's the end of the world for Gingrich. I think he's right. It's now a two-man race. But like he says, 46 to go. A lot of delegates to be won yet.
What about Rich Santorum?
Nobody has 100 we're not even 1/10 of the way to the end of this.
This was interesting because they moved up. It was winner take all, even though they lost half of the delegates, which was pretty interesting. What about the case that Senator Santorum was making tonight, that it can't be about the candidate? He was talking about Newt Gingrich. It's got to be about the issues. I'm the conservative alternative. So do they keep battling each other?
Well, I think Santorum's doing one of two things. He's either trying to position himself as, hey, there's no mud on me and I'm a bona fide conservative, and maybe that's going to propel him to the front of the race. Or the other thing that had crossed my mind when he was really talking about Newt criticizing Romney. Yeah. And the thought occurred to me, is he trying to position himself for a vice presidential candidacy there?
I think that's taken. I think it's going to be Rubio. Yeah. That's my guess.
If it's not, somebody's lost their mind.
Rubio's not eligible.
What do you mean
You're
Rubio's
going to lose 10% of the Republican vote because he's not a natural-born citizen. We've been through this with Obama now for 4 years.
I don't believe that.
Can of worms again?
I don't think that's going to work.
Far be it for me to argue that. You Republicans worry about that. But let me tell you what struck me about this. First of all, was the amount of money spent in this primary was probably a record-setting amount for any state I've ever seen. And Romney was in there early. He spent a lot of money. He got to those
early voting.
Yeah, 500,000 people voted early, and he got to them, and Gingrich was in no position to do that. The one thing that Newt found out was that Florida is not South Carolina. The northern part of Florida is, but the rest of it is, you're right, it's as diverse, like Ohio, the most diverse state in the country. You learned a lot, but the thing that I walked away from most importantly was 40% of the people who voted today didn't like their choices.
About 39 to be exact, but who's counting?
Well, I mean, okay, sorry.
Who's counting? But Romney performed well with the people that he needed to. He performed well with women. He performed well in the areas that he needed to. And I think that speaks a lot to his ability as a candidate. Now, a lot of money was spent in
10 days ago it was just the opposite.
But he had this transformation. He came out of South Carolina, and he wasn't beaten. He came out and stronger, and he started
No, he did not come out stronger.
And, I disagree.
He came out down. This is what makes this fascinating. In South Carolina, Newt was down double digits, was able to turn it around in 1 week in 2 debates and come back and win by double digits. Same scenario in Florida. Romney's down by double digits at the start of this 10-day period. He turns it around with 2 good debate performances.
Well, it's more than debate performances. It's like $17 million.
So $17 million, I would agree with that. But certainly, I think if Newt had those same debate performances, I'm not sure if these results would be the same tonight.
That's very true.
It would have been closer, but, you can't turn on the television in Florida.
Oh, it's awful.
It's amazing what happened in 20 days, isn't it? Newt came out of New Hampshire 10 days prior to South Carolina, coming in 4th place. He wins South Carolina. 10 days exactly later, he comes in second by a big margin to Romney.
So what does that tell you? Nevada's up in the air.
Yeah, it's very fluid.
You've been around a lot of races, Bob. I mean, we haven't really. It's always been historically one guy will win New Hampshire, one guy will win the Iowa caucus. One of the two will win South Carolina, and the race is over.
Yes.
Not the same anymore.
Well,
rules have changed, right?
Well, it was. You remember it took Florida to put McCain over the top after he won South Carolina. But what Newt's problem is going to be is with all presidential candidates, it is not the ego that drives people out of this race. I mean, the problem is Newt's ego, with all due respect, is cashing checks that his bank account doesn't have. Now maybe he raised a lot of money on this blast he's got. If he could raise $3 or $4 million, but it is money that drives him out of this race. And remember, candidates are personally responsible for their money.
And you can say you're going to go for 46 more states, but you have to have the money and the operation to do that. And right now, Newt doesn't have it.
There's something else about Florida that I noticed that I haven't heard anybody mention, which is unusual given all the analysis here. There's really two Floridas. There's a rural Florida and the urban Florida.
If you're on NBC News, they say the cracker counties and counties.
Well, yeah.
Did you read that? Yeah.
Newt won, if you look, all the rural counties, and he won them substantially. There's just not enough people in those areas, but it does suggest that he's going to do very well in other southern states. He's going to do well in rural America.
Let me ask this then. We had Governor Palin on last night. She said this is about the GOP establishment versus, and you wrote the Tea Party manifesto, the Tea Party grassroots and independent Americans who don't like the politics of personal destruction. We could all sit here all day long and sanctimoniously, in our, armchair quarterback this thing and say, these negative ads got to stop. The reason why negative ads are running is because they work.
They work. Exactly.
This was the proof of the pudding.
It was.
But was money well spent.
Is this establishment versus Tea Party? Newt tried to, I think, create that.
Well, I think Romney is clearly the establishment candidate. Look at the people who are supporting Mitt Romney. It's Karl Rove and then you look at the people who are supporting Newt Gingrich, and it's Sarah Palin and.
Yeah, but you have to also admit that the Tea Party, one of your biggest elected officials in South Carolina, Senator DeMint, stayed out of the race and decided not to go in for Gingrich.
Marco Rubio in Florida.
Yeah, I'm wondering how, you don't have to tell me, I'm asking the question really, how united is the Tea Party behind Newt?
The Tea Party is not united around any candidate. I think that Newt got probably some help late from Tea Party activists, but the leadership of the Tea Party movement can't tell the grassroots where to go.
How dangerous is this divide? It's look, you read your emails inbox, I read mine. It's palpable.
It is.
I mean, if somebody supports Romney, they're not liking Gingrich, or Gingrich supporters. If somebody supports Gingrich, they're not liking Romney and Romney supporters. It was bad when Obama and Clinton were going at it. I remember Bill Clinton saying they played the race card on me.
Yeah, but not like this. Much different.
Worse.
No. Remember, it was strung out a long time. And they were very close in delegate count. So you had two titanic campaigns running to each other, where here you've got one who's clearly well-funded. And look what Newt has to walk into. He's got to walk into caucus states now. Then he's got to go to Michigan. I mean,
certainly I would say advantage Nevada and Michigan Romney.
And any caucus state, because it takes organization, and that costs money.
Yeah.
Michigan's got Romney history.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying Michigan. Yeah.
But in the rural states matter. Small town farm and ranch girl, everyone back home is big on Newt. So I think that will make a difference.
You want to see the state that will tell you whether Newt could stay in the state or not? It's a beauty contest. It's Missouri, a beauty contest. It doesn't count for delegates because it's a caucus state. But there's a good microcosm of Republican America. If Newt can do well in Missouri versus Romney.
Not in there.
Huh? He's not in it.
Oh, he couldn't stay.
He didn't
ballot. Gee, that's a shame to hear that.
One big opportunity.
I actually do that. I just thought I'd say it to stir the water.
You happy with yourself? You like to?
I just like to stir it up.
And you do this
what
for
a surprise! I watched the 5.
No.
Right. We got to take a quick break here. We're going to come back with more analysis with our great American panel right after the break. And we continue now with our great American panel. All right, to be fair, earlier in the show I brought up one of Mitt Romney's ads that ran in Florida, talking about the tone of the debate and obviously the primary in Florida tonight. All right, let's take a look at one of the Gingrich ads that ran down there.
What kind of man would mislead, distort, and deceive just to win an election? This man would. Mitt Romney. Romney said he has always voted Republican when he had the opportunity. But in the 1992 Massachusetts primary, Romney had the chance to vote for George H.W. Bush or Pat Buchanan, but he voted for a liberal Democrat instead. Romney said his investments in Fannie and Freddie were in a blind trust, but as reported in the National Journal, Romney earned tens of thousands of dollars from investments not in a blind trust.
All right, so we ran one of the Romney ads, we ran one of the Gingrich ads. What do you think? Obviously, Romney had more money.
Yeah, and obviously this ad didn't work because look at the results tonight. I mean, I think that speaks itself.
I'll be honest. I think this really, one thing that I said is I thought that Newt's debate appearances in South Carolina was so powerful. And such a game changer.
Yes.
Because remember, Romney outspent Gingrich in South Carolina. The difference was the debates. Same thing went on in Florida. If Newt showed up the way he did in South Carolina in the Florida debates, I think this might have been a different race, regardless of the money.
But Newt was given a softball in South Carolina, and he was able to take what was possibly going to be very damaging interview to his campaign, and he took it and he turned it on the media.
But that was in South Carolina.
In South Carolina, and there was red meat. But then he comes to Florida. He didn't have that softball opportunity.
I disagree
and Romney
with you.
Romney came out swinging, and he was able to phrase the messaging a lot differently.
I think Romney saw what happened in South Carolina, and Romney went to work. And Romney prepared for those debates, and he went after Newt Gingrich in a very aggressive way, in a way that showed that he knew he had to step up.
He also took Gingrich off his game, because up till that point, Gingrich had not gone negative. In fact, if you remember the early debates, Gingrich was singing Kumbaya. I could vote for any one of these guys. They're all better than Obama. And then it all changed when it went on the attack.
It's you know, the one thing I have to say about this, it was a much more compressed schedule between New Hampshire and South Carolina, and so the debates, which were right at the bookends of that, coming out of New Hampshire, and there were two of them, and they had a much greater impact in a much smaller state, and you had two debates over a longer period of time. It dispersed sort of in the middle.
10 days, I mean.
Yeah, but I just don't think that you had the kind of, it didn't have the kind of potential to be a game changer in Florida, which is really 5 states if you think about it.
Here's what I think happened, though. We keep hearing that the Romney campaign spent a lot of time in debate prep. They hired a new debate coach.
Oh, well, clearly he got better.
And Newt Gingrich, I think he gave the interview, it was to Mike, and he told Michael Barone his prep for a debate is a Diet Coke, calls his grandkid, shows up, and he has great debates. I mean,
but we're not looking for a debater-in-chief, and I think that is something.
Oh, yes, we are. I want somebody to clobber Obama in a debate.
But at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants, is someone to win a debate. That would be great.
No.
But you want someone who can govern, who can lead this nation, provide real solutions, and get it back on track.
You got to get there.
I agree, but we need to be.
I'm sorry. It's amazing to me, as a Democrat looking into the Republicans, how debates have dominated a process. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen it in the presidential level, in general election, but it has changed. 2 things, that and super PACs. Those are the 2 variables that we haven't seen before that have made a huge difference.
I promise you won't get mad at me?
Sure.
Debates mattered in one other debate. I'm not going to let my youth's age and youth and inexperience. All right,
I could give it to you exactly right. But by the way, mine was "Where's the Beef?" Okay,
that was great though.
I rode that baby for 20 years.
Yeah, you did.
On the speaker circuit. No, as Reagan said, I'm not going to make my opponent's youth and experience a liability.
Yeah, one of the greatest.
That was one of the, you talking about a deflator, man? That was in the first 3 minutes. That was it. That was it.
All right, guys, good panel tonight. That's all the time we have left. Let not your heart be troubled. The news continues with Greta back at our usual time tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us.